So does Dana White and the UFC actually know what they're doing anymore? Because I'm starting to wonder that with some of the matchmaking that is taking place and some of the rumoured fights that are being hinted at as to what are going to be made next for the UFC. Let's start off with this one right here. Brandon Moreno versus Steve Usyk. Now, as we all know, this weekend is Asu Almabayev versus Manel Kape. However, that was originally meant to be Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval and Steve Usyk versus Asu Almabayev. So instead of giving Manel Kape, who was originally going to be fighting Brandon Royval, which at the end of the day we all know what that was going to be. That was going to be a number one contender fight for the UFC's flyweight division. So instead of moving him off the card and putting him against Brandon Moreno to see who the next number one contender is, instead what they decide to do, bear in mind, this will be in front of a crowd, this fight. Instead, what they decide to do is take Steve Usyk, the guy who's ranked number 9 in the flyweight division, coming off a KO loss, coming off a 2-fight losing streak. They then take him off the card and matchmake him against Brandon Moreno, who's the number 2 ranked flyweight.
Huh?
Do we understand what I mean by some of the matchmaking? Now, will this fight be a fun one to watch? Yeah, it probably will be. Both guys are fun boxers. It's going to be interesting to see that this striking matchup. I think Brandon Moreno is levels above Steve Usyk. I think a lot of people bought into the Steve Usyk hype because of he had a pretty good performance against Pantoja. Let's not forget though, that fight was kinda short notice. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the cliche saying, styles make fights. But do you understand what I mean though? Like Manel Kape is now went from a number one contender fight to now being in a fight against a guy who's ranked below him in the flyweight rankings, while a guy who's on a 2-fight losing streak coming off a KO loss has now been taken off that card and put in a high stakes matchup against the number 2 ranked flyweight. Do we get what I'm saying here? Like some of the matchmaking the UFC have done, like UFC 314 stacked card top to bottom. The JDM Bilal Muhammad fight in the long run will be good, but I am one of those unfortunate guys that got a ticket to UFC London and now it's Sean Brady. I fucking hate the UFC for doing that. Anyway, I've already ranted about that before. This is matchup number 1. Okay? Makes zero fucking sense. Let's move on to this right here. We have got Merab versus Sean O'Malley too. Now, this fight isn't confirmed. Bit of a malfunction here with the camera. Right, so this fight isn't confirmed, but you've got Dana White talking about it a lot in post-fight press conferences, being like, yeah, I mean, it's the fight that everybody wants.
Huh?
In what fucking world is this the fight everybody wants? Like, the bantamweight division is an easy division to book. Like, it is the easiest division to book. I don't understand why we are really struggling at booking this division, because, so this right here is a rumoured matchup to be taking place next, the rematch. Then we've got this as the rumoured main event, the UFC 316. Like, yo, hello, can we fucking wake up? The fights to make are Pantoja versus Merab. I mean, this is the perfect time to make this fight. Both guys have easily cleared out their division. They're rolling over in their just rematch. And before people say, well, Kai Kara-France is a new matchup, it's not. Pantoja's already beat him before. Granted, it was on the Ultimate Fighter, but still, he's already beat him. It's a rematch. Merab is going right in there against Sean O'Malley. Like, Dana White's getting on like, oh, this is the rematch that needs to happen. But it didn't, because as soon as the fight was finished at UFC 306, if the rematch really needed to happen, you would have rebooked it right away, but you didn't. You had Umar Nurmagomedov step in and fight Merab. And now, so Sean O'Malley has lost to Merab, sat out, done nothing since. Merab's fought Umar Nurmagomedov, and now Dana White's came out and went, yeah, man, Sean O'Malley, he deserves his immediate title rematch.
By what the hell, boy?
It doesn't make sense. This is some of the matchmaking I'm not understanding. Like, yo, Dana, wake fucking up. Wake up. This is not the rematch that people want to see. Granted, I do think Sean O'Malley has the best chance of beating Merab in the UFC's bantamweight division. Hold your fucking horses. Before you tell me, what about Umar? To beat Merab, you're going to need to KO him. You're going to need to finish him. It's been made clear as day. That is the only way to stop this fucking EPO munching merchant. If you don't knock him out, you're not beating him, because the pace that he fights at, you're not going to be able to cope with. So that is something that people need to factor in when I say Sean O'Malley is going to be the one to beat him, because Sean O'Malley is probably the biggest puncher. In fact, is the biggest puncher in the bantamweight division. And you're going to need to have KO power to stop Merab. So that's why I say Sean O'Malley has the best chance of beating him. Do I think Sean O'Malley will beat him in a rematch? No, I don't. But, like, Sean O'Malley, 5-rounder, Petr Yan, it's not fucking rocket science. You know, we're not Elon Musk here. Do you know what I mean? We're not Elon Musk trying to get people to fucking Pluto. It's a simple matchup. Number 1 versus number 2. I believe that's where they are in the rankings. Number 1, number 2, the rematch. Like, people want, that's the matchup everybody wants to see in the bantamweight division. Like, my brain's actually overriding. I can't fucking speak. I can't get the words out fast enough, because it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan 2, 5 rounds. Make it happen. Merab versus Pantoja, while the flyweight division and bantamweight division sort themselves out. It's really easy. Like, it's not fucking rocket science here. It's really not. Like, it's really, really not. You know, Pantoja deserves this. Now, if this was anybody else, if these two were anybody else outside of Merab and Pantoja, and I don't understand why you wouldn't want Merab to have this big fight, because at the end of the day, it's a champion versus champion matchup. Merab actually does have a big fan base. I know a lot of people might not agree with that, but the guy does have a very loyal fan base, especially the Georgian people. They really get behind Merab. Plus, he's really developed like a fan base now. Obviously, being Umar Nurmagomedov done wonders for him. Obviously, him being in the spotlight against Sean O'Malley, although that fight was pretty dog shit, so I don't know if that really did help him in terms of that way. But a lot of people would have went to the Sphere show just because it was in the Sphere and would have bought light to Merab. They would have been like, fuck, there's a new champion. He's kissing Sean O'Malley. He's shouting at the corner. He's just fucking weird. You know what I mean? So that there is the factor in. Merab is a big name now for the UFC. Pantoja might not be a big name, but like, it's legacy defining. Like, this is the fight. I don't get it. Like, they have cleared out their division. Have these guys fight each other while the bantamweight division and flyweight division sorts itself out, and then you get the fucking wheels back in motion then. Because if Pantoja loses to Merab, well, he's still the flyweight champion. He's still got a new contender. Maybe Manel Kape's ready for his rematch, or Asuyama Bayev has beat Manel Kape, so he's in there. Or Tatsuro Taira's got a win coming off a big win, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got the division kind of lined up. You've got their next fight anyway that makes sense. And if Merab loses to Pantoja and Pantoja becomes bantamweight champion, well then the rematch is there, another big fight. It gives these divisions, like, the longer these divisions get in the flyweight division and bantamweight division to sort themselves out and have the matchups required to kind of bring back stability to this division, the longer Merab and Pantoja aren't just fighting, the better. That's why this fight is absolute money. And finally, the last fight I want to touch up on is this right here. What the fuck is this shit? Now, I spoke about this in, I think, 2 days ago, but it's really, really annoying me. Why the fuck is Aldo being done so dirty? Now, before people say, well, Zahabi's ranked 14, man, he's on a win streak, and Aldo's ranked number 7, man, he's coming off a loss. Don't make me start throwing fucking hate. Aldo, the UFC aren't giving this guy enough respect. Like, he beat Mario Batista. This matchmaking is awful. Like, why would you book Song Yudong, Henry Cejudo, when you knew Aldo was looking to come back soon? Why are we not getting Henry Cejudo versus Aldo? Anyone want to tell me? Anybody want to tell me the logical reason as to why Aldo and Henry Cejudo weren't booked to fight? Please fucking tell me. I need to know. But yeah, I just want to make a quick video on that. This one right here is absolutely fucking... This is ludicrous. I don't get this. But then again, like I've said throughout the entire video, I don't think the UFC understand what they're doing at the minute. Like UFC 314 is amazing, and then some of the other fights they're announcing are just absolutely, you know what I mean? Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Manel Cap is going to beat Asu Almabayev. Thanks for all the support recently, by the way, especially for the lives. I'm going to be trying to go live longer, more frequent on YouTube, just to kind of interact with everybody who is newly to the channel. 1K is on the way. Thank you for all the support. It's really taken off. I mean, I think like a couple months ago I was on like 200 subscribers. Now we're closing in on 1K. So I really appreciate the support. Thanks very much. And I'll see you again in the next one. The daily uploads, they continue.